Let's learn about variables and keywords. Variables, as you can see in this slide, I have written a expression which is fx equal x plus 1, where x equals to 1. So when you solve this the expression, you put x equals to 1 and the result is in 2. 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Similarly, here in second line I have written fx equal x plus 1. Again, if I put 2, it results in 3. So here, if x, the value of x changed, the output is also changed. Here in this case, x is called a variable. Mathematically, this is a variable which can hold actually a numeric value only. But in terms of programming, it can hold a string of characters which is called string variable. So let's see how we can define variables in our JavaScript code. If you see here, we can write our JavaScript code in starting from line number 6. So let's define a variable. ECMA scripts tells that variable should be defined using var keyword. Then you must specify an identifier to identify your variable name, which has its rule that it should not start with space, it should not start with few special characters except dollar and others. I'm not discussing in detail, but yes, you should remember this thing, that it should start with either underscore, or it should start with either a dollar sign, or you can say it can be start with any character, either uppercase or lowercase. But you should remember case sensitivity here as well. So let's define one or two variables and see the variations. So here you can define the variable like this, then this, again one more variation, $1, it is also possible, and variable the underscore, let me change its name. So it is not significant, but yes, you can write this way as well. These notations are legal in JavaScript. So let's go ahead and see which kind of value we can actually store in these variables. So when we define var a equals to 5, what we are doing here, we are actually declaring a variable as well as assigning a value to variable. This we could actually do something like this, where we have only declared a variable and later in next statement we are assigning value. And if you see, this is a statement. This is statement number 1, this is statement number 2. So statement ends with a semicolon. You should always, if you are really a beginner, you should keep in mind that statement should be ended with this semicolon. Now we have seen how we can declare and assign value for a variable. Let's see some more variations. You have seen that you have put a atomic value, a single value, or a single value in a variable. Now you can put a bit complicated value inside a variable, like I can I can actually declare and assign value a string variable. So let me give it name string var equal, and that string should be enclosed in a double quote or a single quote. So here it is my name, and if you see, I'm talking about the absolute beginner who have no prior knowledge of any programming language. This is wrong. You cannot do like this, because after var keyword there should be an identifier for holding the value. So it can be actually this, but it cannot be this. This is also not a legal variable declaration in JavaScript. So always use underscore between two words. So there are so many notation, like you will have to make it a practice. You will have to choose one of several practices, like my habit is to define variable in a camel notation. Camel notation is something like this: my name is. So here if you see, M is in small letter and rest the words are starting with capital letters. This is how we can follow this. Or other notation is something like this: my name is. You can use any of this standard in your coding practice. So don't worry about these, but yes, if you actually make it a practice, that would be great for everyone to understand what it is. And so okay, I was talking about string variables. So here what I have done here, string, this variable is storing string of characters. So there is one this is another type of assignment of type string, though as I said, it is JavaScript is not a typed language. You don't need to define what kind of value it holds. That's why you are seeing that I haven't defined anywhere. And same way, if I want, I can actually store a string in a variable, which is you see is storing right now a numeric value. So this is how I proved that JavaScript is type loose language. One more thing, you don't need to define variable again, though it is not an issue, but if you do so, you are actually requesting another memory location for same variable in your memory. I mean, interpreter is a thing which would actually request for a memory allocation. So this is all about variables. We learned how we can declare a variable, their naming conventions, their standards, and two kind of variables, which is numeric and character. There can be other kind of variables like Boolean variables, but as I told you, JavaScript is a type loose language, then you don't need to worry about that. If you want to store a true, you can store true, but you will have to write this way. If you write it this way, this is a string. If you write this way, this is a Boolean value which is being stored in this a variable. So this is all about variables. Now we have we have to see one more thing, which is keywords. So keywords are basically the words which JavaScript is using. Here if you see where is a keyword, then there are few more. If is a keyword which is a branching statement in JavaScript, for which is a loop in JavaScript, then there are so many like break, while, with, while, with, etc. These are all keywords. Let's talk about reserved words. So reserved words are those words which are reserved by JavaScript, and you should not use all those. Few of them are abstract, int, long, private, protected.